Hi, my name is Kathy Fosno and this is Kat's Creative Corner. Welcome to Tuesday's card. Today's card is this very simple yet elegant card, and this card is for a sympathy card. I had several friends who lost family members this past week and a half. It was kind of a sad week for a lot of the people I care about, so I wanted to send them a note to let them know I care. And so I made this card. Here is another version of it with a burlap ribbon instead of a white satin ribbon. Okay, let's get started. First, you're going to need a piece of Whisper White cardstock cut at 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. Then you're going to need a piece of Wild Wasabi cardstock cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And then you're going to need another piece of Whisper White cut at 3 3/4 by 5. So let's set these aside. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use Versamark ink. And Versamark is just a sticky ink that's clear that you would emboss on. And then I have the Dahlia. We're using the Definitely Dahlia stamp. A lot of times when you want to make just a simple card, or maybe you need a bunch of cards, it's kind of nice to have a big background stamp that you can stamp on, and that covers almost all the paper, and so you don't have to do a lot of stamping. So I'm going to take my Versamark and go all over my stamp. And when they're big like this, I like to keep the stamp down and the put the ink over the top of it, and that way I can get all the surface. Okay, so I'm going to take some of my grid paper and put it underneath, and then I'm going to put this right in the middle. And yes, I'm going to overlap off the edges of the paper a little bit, but that's all right. And I'm just going to pull that away. And then I'm going to take my silver embossing powder and sprinkle it over. Okay, and then I'm going to take my heat tool. Well, first I'm going to put this back into the dish so it doesn't get lost. And then I'm going to take my heat tool. I'm going to turn it on and let it run just a second so that it gets hot. You can see I didn't get some of the ink on some of the parts of the flower, but that's okay. It won't matter because it's kind of an abstract flower anyway. So I'm going to run this on it until it starts changing, and I'm hoping you can see the changes. Embossing is such a neat thing when it starts turning. There it goes. Just takes a few minutes to get all the pieces. This is a bigger image, so it takes a little bit longer. Watch your fingers, don't get them burnt. You can use a clipboard and snap it onto the clipboard, and then that will hold the image, or you can use like a clothespin or something like that to hold onto your image, or to hold onto your piece of cardstock so that you don't burn your hands. Let me look and see if it's shiny. No, it's not shiny down on this end. And it's just fun to watch it change. I've talked about it before. I love embossing. And just one more spot. Okay, so now your image is embossed. And I just let it dry because at first it's a little tacky, but not for long, and it doesn't last. So, okay, now I'm going to take my cardstock, put it out of the way, and now it's out of my way. And now I got to find it. Okay. All right, I'm going to take and use my snail adhesive. Snail adhesive is my go-to tape. I love it. And I'm going to stick that right in the center. Now, I'm going to take some 5/8 inch burlap, and I'm just going to tape right about 1/3 of the way up from the card. And I'm going to stick that on there, and I'm just going to stick that. Then I'm going to take my scissors and cut. And these scissors are just regular scissors. We do have our paper snips that are wonderful, but I keep a pair with a ribbon around it so it's only for ribbon. All right, so there's that. And then I'm just going to take a little piece and I'm going to tie it around to make a little knot. Make sure you get it long enough that you can pull it through. So there's your knot. And I'm going to cut off the edges. So there. Now you have that. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece and get my paper back. And inside I wanted to stamp something, so I decided I would stamp from Timeless Textures. I would stamp the floral image, one of my favorites. And I'm going to use basic gray. And I'm just going to stamp on the edge like that. So it just gives a little flourish inside. And then inside, I'm going to use, we have a kind of really nice set for Sympathy and that kind of thing called, there's two sets actually, but it's one set combined, but it's two cases, I should say. This is one of two, Thoughts and Prayers, and on the other side it's Thoughts and Prayers 2 of 2. And on that side it says, thinking of you, please know that I care. So I'm going to use that. And I'm going to stamp that right in the center. Okay, so now you have your sentiment. Now this card can be used for anything. It doesn't have to be for a Sympathy card. You can put any sentiment you want in there. Okay, now I'm going to attach this to my card base. And the reason I stamped this before I stamped this was in case I made a mistake, I could work with it until I got it the way I wanted it. Okay, and I'm just going to center that there. Your card is done. That's how simple it is, easy. When you use a one stamp image, it just takes seconds to make a card. Thanks for stopping by.